Big update tonight at NBC5 Investigates. The Chicago Public School Board is expected to vote on a really significant policy change, and that follows our recent series, Lessons in Betrayal.
Our reporting in May exposed how former students in Little Village Lawndale High School felt that they were groomed by their teachers. As we reported earlier this month, the district's inspector general substantiated the allegations of sexual misconduct after a 3-year investigation, calling it a systemic problem. The IG also recommended a series of changes the district now appears ready to act on.
Investigative reporter Bennett Haeberle worked on this story for months. He is joining us now with that update. Bennett.
Yeah, Alex, a lot on the school board's agenda tonight, including the fact that they're being asked to consider the first steps towards creating change by approving a public comment period for policy changes that would ban all CPS employees from using personal email, texts, or social media to communicate with students or recent graduates. It appears to be a direct response to our investigation and the recent Inspector General's report that substantiated many of the allegations raised by former students. Under the proposed policy changes, Chicago public school employees would be prohibited from communicating with current CPS students and recent graduates within 1 year of graduation. The concern, according to the district, is that the use of personal email or social media to connect with the student or recent graduate may create the appearance of an inappropriate relationship or constitute grooming, which would violate CPS policy. This potential policy shift appears to fall in line with recommendations made by the Inspector General in this final report that substantiated allegations against Dennis Cass, Charles Smith, Danny Pena, and Hans Kruger, and 4 other now former educators at Little Village Lawndale High School. And while the Inspector General found insufficient evidence that Smith and Cass groomed students, the report indicates that their conduct was found to be unbecoming of an employee and violated CPS policies, and that 8 staff members engaging in sexual misconduct or targeting former students suggests a systemic problem. The Inspector General also recommended that CPS move to make changes.
Everything, and suddenly I was facing the fact that I was groomed.
It's pretty easy to target pretty much anybody at that school.
Former students we interviewed say they felt they were groomed into sexual encounters, and that teachers like Dennis Cass used social media platforms like Facebook Messenger to reach out to former students after they graduated. 3 of the former students we interviewed said they were either approached or had sex with Cass after graduating.
I feel like as a student, going to school should be a safe place where you have adults that have your best interests at heart. That didn't happen here.
A CPS spokeswoman refused to say specifically what spurred this potential policy shift, saying that there are multiple things that go into CPS policy and procedures and how they're implemented. But the timing comes 3 months after our first story and less than 2 months after the Inspector General's report was delivered to the board. By the way, an attorney for former Principal Charles Smith said that there's, quote, no evidence to support the false allegations. She and an attorney for Dennis Cass have criticized the Inspector General's findings and what they allege were tainted by a former CPS investigator. The Inspector General, for their part, disagrees with that assertion. Allison?
Bennett, thank you.